Hey guys, welcome back. Today I have this Dodge Challenger GT. This is basically the last of its kind since Dodge just killed the gas-powered Dodge Challengers, and now they're being replaced by the Dodge Charger Daytona, which is their all EV. And it's kind of a shame because this was one of the Dodge's most selling vehicles, and then they just kill it for no reason. And starting with this front design, even though this is the GT, of course, this is not the Hellcat, this is not the Catback. It's not the Demon, but it still looks really aggressive. We do have this really functional hood scoop right over here. And then really this classic design with this classic LED headlights. And then the other thing we're missing is we don't have the functional air vent inside the headlight as we do get in the Hellcat and the Demon. We do have lower fog lights, and then we do get this plastic splitter as well. In the higher trims, we do get it a little bit like in a carbon type. But overall, this front design still looks really aggressive, and then it's still really amazing. And then if you just put on a Widebody kit on here, take off the GT, you can still fool a lot of people, because if you just have the right type of functional splitters and then the Widebody kit, it will just look like a Hellcat if we just put a Hellcat badge on it. We do have these 20-inch rims, and then also with the GT we do get the adaptive suspension and then also upgraded brakes for the stopping power. We do get this iconic fuel cap over here, just like how they had it back in the day. And then in the back, once again, the iconic rear design. We do have these LED tail lights. We do have dual exhaust, which is amazing. And then even though this is a V6, it still sounds amazing. So powering this Challenger is the 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V6, which makes 203 horsepower and 268 pound-feet of torque as compared to the 8-speed automatic transmission. And then the 0 to 60 time is around 5 seconds, 5.5 and stuff, just around like that. And then of course we do have the 5.7 HEMI V8, which is also available in the RT trim. And then we also have the 6.2 liter supercharged V8, which is also available in the Hellcat. And then we also have the 6.4, which is available in the Catback. Of course, the most powerful is the 6.2, and then it depends what model you have. It can have up to anywhere up to 700 horsepower to all the way to up to 1000 if you have the new Demon 170, which is basically just like the upgraded version of the 6.2. However, this vehicle is still amazing with this engine option. It still looks really nice, and then it still has the performance numbers, which are quite decent to actually have fun for an fraction of the price. This GT trim is basically just between the SXT and the R. You do have keyless entry. All I just have to do is press the button right over here, and then it unlocks the door right for me. So starting with the interior, even though this is a Dodge, most people will just say it's trash. It's not really trash. It's actually really good interior for the price point and the performance we get. Of course, this vehicle is also push start. You can hear that growl of that V6. And then this layout is actually quite old. They have been using the same layout since 2015 to all the way up to 2023. So yeah, so it is actually 8 years old, but it still looks really good in 2023 if you actually think about it. All soft touch leather all over the dash. Same thing goes for the door panel. All soft touch material all the way down. We do have some hard plastic, but that's normal for this price point. And then of course we do have the Alpine audio system as well. And then on the side right over here we do have our automatic headlight controls, rear trunk opening. And then this dash design is actually more focused toward the driver, as you can see with the angle of the display. We do have this leather wrapped heated steering wheel, which is nice. We do have some plastic paddle shifters. I wish they were either carbon fiber or they were metal, because at the end of the day this is still a performance vehicle, so these plastic shifters don't really go that good with it. And we do have this analog and then slash digital driver display. However, it may look small, but it's actually really good, and we do have a different amount of customizations. We even have the engine gauge, which shows up right over here, and it just shows you how much horsepower you make. I've seen that in the infotainment system, but I've never seen a vehicle which has this gauge inside of the gauge cluster, which is amazing. Of course, we do have our very own performance 0-60 timers, our brake distance, our G-force, and everything just shows up right over here, and then it like even shows your lap history as well, which is amazing. And then of course we actually do need these because at the end of the day this is more focused towards performance, even though it just has the V6 option. It's still like a really fun car. And then I can actually customize what I want. So like let's say right over here, currently it's showing my current MPG, my current average. I can just change this into range, and now it will show me my current range with the given amount of fuel, which is amazing. And we have a lot of customizations. Even the newer vehicles don't offer that much customizations that we get in here. I do like the red accents going around the gauges, and then these red gauges, which looks amazing, especially when you're revving this vehicle. And then starting with the center over here, we do have some hard plastic, this like textured plastic right over here. I wish it was carbon, so it will look way better. Of course, we do have the carbon in the higher trims though. And we do have this 8.4-inch Uconnect infotainment system. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but unfortunately, they're only USB only. They're not wireless CarPlay and stuff. Other than that, it's really easy to use. We do have heated and vented seats, which can be used right from over here. And then about the seats, we do have this Suede going on, which looks amazing. And then of course we do have built-in nav. Of course it's not the best quality like other factory navs, but however, since we do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it like really doesn't matter. We also have 4G LTE network service available as well. We can access all of our vehicle settings right through here. There is a little bit of lag, which I can definitely feel, but overall is like quite decent. And then we do have our performance pages, where there's like a few ways we can access that. We also have the button right over here for sport mode. That will just put it into traction control sport, and then change the settings into sport mode. Basically, it will just like turn off the traction control. And then what I recommend is before you just put in sport mode and floor this vehicle, this is in a rear wheel drive only. So you may lose the traction real quick if you're not that well at driving. And then this is one of the main reasons why this vehicle is getting into accidents too so much, is that because people don't know how to keep their vehicle in control. They just put it in sport and then they just floor it. This is not all-wheel drive, it's only rear-wheel drive. So you really do need the traction. So only put into sport if you actually know how to drive the vehicle properly before you start messing around. We also have Super Track Pack mode, which basically brings up this entire Dodge performance control system. I basically have everything into sport mode, the engine and transmission. There you go, it gives you further controls right over here. And if I press engine, it will give me all of the details. I can put it in normal mode, sport mode, and all of that. Of course, we do have a difference because in like these cab packs, we do get a way better sport configuration than we get in this vehicle, but it's still really good. Even though this is a V6, it still has the launch control as well. I can set my RPM. I can activate launch control. Of course, it must be in drive, and I'm not launching the vehicle right now, so we're going to cancel that. But we still have this feature, which is amazing for a V6. Of course, it gives you all of the different information about everything. And then, of course, we do have the performance pages. Basically, what it does, it will just give you the like the live account of how much power you're making, your horsepower, your torque, your braking distance, your like G-force. So like right now it's in home. I'm gonna floor it. There you go. It just shows me the power I'm making. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm thinking it's not really that accurate. At 4K, is as you can see, it's at 4,000, and it's showing me I'm making 0 horsepower. So it kind of doesn't really look that accurate. We do have a 0-60 timer as well. As you can see, the last one, all that, it will just show it over here. Well, what was your speed, and then how long it took you to achieve that. It also says the same thing about the braking and stuff. And it also brings up your gauges. We have the transmission gauge, the intake air temperature, and then also your oil temperature, oil pressure, your coolant temperature, and all that cool stuff which actually you need when you're actually driving this vehicle really hard. And of course, it does show your G-force. And here in the engine mode, it does show the PSI, the torque, and the horsepower I'm making. And here it's actually quite accurate, I think. And we also have the dyno mode. Basically, it just like shows you what's their power, what's their torque, as you can see, my RPM, my power, and it's quite nice. And then it's actually quite good that we have all of these features in a vehicle, which right now costs around 25K, which is amazing. Other than that, is, as I said before, it does have a little bit lag, but the other features do add up to it. We have the same soft touch material all the way going through on the side. However, we do have the same hard plastic which we had right over here. Once again, it would have been better if we had some carbon fiber going on. We do have our radio physical controls for our volume, our tune selector, and then we have a dual climate HVAC system down here below. We do have physical buttons, and then at the same time, it also brings it up on the infotainment system as well. We do have the cool Dodge looking gear shifter. That's actually really easy, and it does bring up the rear view camera. The quality is quite decent, and then in drive, if I want to put it to manual, I just do this, and now I can shift it using the pedal shifters on the side of the steering wheel. We do have two cup holders right over here, and then we have a little, like a small amount of room in the center console, as well as two USB ports. And these USB ports also basically just extend the Apple CarPlay signal as well. And then we have a 12-volt lighter port. This all is hard plastic down here, and we have quite a decent room in the glove box as well. And it says Challenger right over here, which is a cool touch. Of course, we do have access to basically the second row. In order to access it, I have to press this button and then pull it like this so I can enter the second row. But to be honest, a normal adult can't even fit in here. It's only if you have small children, which they can't fit, and it will also give them access to their very own armrest as well. But to be honest, I can't really fit to actually show everything in the back. We actually have a decent amount of room in the rear trunk. So is this vehicle actually worth 20K? You can easily pick this out for around 20K. This current vehicle, of course, is used, and it does has 48K miles on it. And they're asking 25K for it, and it's actually not bad for a vehicle which has low miles. And then if you do want to check them out, please do check out Commerce of Chevrolet, and they're actually offering free lifetime warranty on all new vehicles purchased. And then, so in my opinion, yes, it is worth it. We do get quite a nice V6. Of course, the V6 is not as good as the GM's 3.6, which makes 335 horsepower in the Camaro. This V6 is kind of underpowered. It barely makes 268 pound-feet of torque, but this exhaust is amazing. And then also, if you do have the knowledge of tuning this engine, you can actually put basically what they call a Ram turbocharger on it, where it's kind of driven by the engine's built just like a supercharger, and then it can actually boost the horsepower by 150 horsepower, which is amazing. So of course, this vehicle, there's a lot of mods going on, so you can easily just boost the power if you want to. And then of course, we do get these really nice heated vented seats. We do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If you guys did find this video interesting, please do like and subscribe and share. Thank you.